Welcome to Patch for the month of May. I'm your host, Paul James, and I'm joined today by Jay Barnes. Damo Camilleri.
Hey.
Who is back from... Well,
it was one episode. Well, you know, it was a couple.
It was 4 episodes.
Yeah, I was there till the end of that one part, and then...
The equivalent episode last month you were here for until the last 2 minutes, and then...
Yeah.
That ship sailed into the horizon with just the two of us on board.
Yes, that ship sailed to the Amazon, where he's been trekking since then.
Got to adult sometime.
But he's back. So, we're going to get into the patch notes for this month, and the topic on the agenda is the recent leak. It's not an official reveal yet, but of the PlayStation Neo. It's kind of a 4 point... It's being referenced as a few different things. Neo's the name that's come out in the last week or so, but there's PS4K, PS4.5, basically like a mid-generation kind of jump.
They never keep the cool code names for shit like that, shit like that, do they? But I mean, could you imagine if it actually was called the Nintendo Revolution? It would have been the best.
But can I just take one before we actually get into the topic itself? We had PSVR, which was originally referred to as PlayStation Morpheus.
An amazing
PlayStation
name.
Neo. What's the Trinity? Matrix reference.
That will probably be the next Vita.
Agent Smith. Before they do Trinity,
which they will not make. Yeah.
So the PS Neo,
just like
4.5, whatever it is,
they shouldn't have made.
Yeah, and the second Matrix movie they shouldn't have made.
Yeah. Well,
it's basically a kind of mid-generation jump for the PS4, designed to kind of boost the power of it. So some raw numbers in terms of the CPU, and I'm not tech savvy at all, so I'm hoping. I'd expect the two of you probably a little more.
I hope that our audience knows more of it than we do.
So, the original PS4, 8 Jaguar cores at 1.6 gigahertz in the Neo, or supposedly in the Neo. 8 Jag cores at 2.1 gigahertz, so a 0.5 gigahertz improvement there. So, you know, about a third, 33% improvement there.
Yep.
The GPU, and it was an AMD GC. I've got no idea what I'm talking about here. 18 CUs at 800 megahertz versus now the number of CUs 36.
Still AMD.
Yeah, AMD again. It's just an improved one.
GCN.
At 911 megahertz.
Nintendo GameCube. They're putting.
Yeah.
They're rating it by how many Nintendo GameCubes they can duct tape together. That's how they did it with the Wii, and that's how they do it with all Sony gear. So this one's going to be 18 GameCubes versus the new, which is the new one, and is going to be 36.
36 GameCubes. Good on them.
I mean, and then the GameCube was a pretty good system, and they were pretty square, so they do fit together very much like Tetris blocks. So, I mean, if you're going to go Russian with it, everyone gets a Tetris. Everyone gets a GameCube, everyone gets a Tetris. That's how it works.
And in terms of memory,
good, excellent.
8 gig GDDR5 at 176 versus the Neo, which is at 218. So there's about 25-ish% improvement there as well. I don't know much about specs.
I don't know much about specs either.
There are like just from raw numbers.
From raw numbers, it looks like it's a chunk. It's an improvement.
There's a sizable improvement there. One of the main complaints about PS4...
Sizable.
Yeah, sizable is the most indeterminate word you can use. Yes, that's right. There is a
slight increase.
There is a proportional increase, of which we are not
The thing
aware
about being that the PS4 and the Xbox One were both kind of criticised very early days for the fact that straight at the gate they were kind of well behind what modern PCs were capable of, and they might have been 20.
They didn't have enough GameCubes.
What was it, 24? They didn't. Not
enough GameCubes.
They were 2013 devices. They were pretty much running at 2010 PC sort of specs.
Yeah.
That was kind of the talk there.
Yeah.
And it's been incredible what those two machines have been able to churn out so far.
And what they'll continue to probably churn out for a while.
Well, yeah, I think the developers, if we didn't have this Neo supposedly come along, I think they'd still be able to churn out incredible software on those machines.
Yeah, I mean, we're only... So if you go back and look at the first couple of years of the Xbox 360 and PS3, there was some steaming piles of shit coming out at that time. And you look at you look at GTA 5 on the last gen consoles, and that game looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
what some of the first parties are able to churn out.
Absolutely,
because they just know that architecture.
Even Nintendo churning out what they can on the Wii U looks amazing.
Mario Kart 8 looks better than about half the PS4 and Xbox One games out there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Look, I don't know how necessary this sort of stuff is. I was a little bit concerned when Nintendo did this with the 3DS. We were just sort of touching on that before. I'm concerned personally with changes like this where they will hit a point where developers are going to be pushing the boundaries of the more extreme console, which will mean that people using the original console, it will not function.
Yeah, and
it will, or at the very least, so, and this is something you brought up to me when we were chatting the other day, Hyrule Warriors on the new 3DS
is a turd on the
just
baseline 3DS.
Yeah, it just doesn't it chugs along. Whereas on the new 3DS, on the new 3DS it works fine. So that'll
be one of the main concerns for people. What Sony has gone out and said, apparently what they've said to developers is that the Neo version has to run at least, like say, number of frames per second, or increase this at or above the level of the baseline PS4.
They're going to be baseline in the PS4.
Yeah. And then whatever improvements you can get into the Neo version, great, thanks.
I don't think that will happen.
From October, any game that comes out from October, and I presume that must mean that the Neo's coming out October, November, any game that comes out October or later must have the baseline PS4 mode and a Neo mode. No exclusive features in it, but just it can work across either system and it looks...
My concern with something like that is that if you start... No developer's going to do that. They're going to build their game to be the best it can, so they're going to build for the Neo and then scale back for the PS4. Well, they're not going to build for the PS4 and then scale up.
More and more of them these days are developing PC first and scaling them to console, whatever's required.
Yeah, I suppose.
Which is probably a good example.
That's what their dev tools are on anyway.
But
you're not coding a game through an Xbox One, It's like you're building software on a PC anyway. So it makes sense to build your port there first and then just port it to the consoles.
Yeah. There's been talk from some developers, and I don't know any names, but it's people in the media who've got sources, are saying that a number of developers aren't happy with this. It just creates more work. Like, it's expensive enough as it is that developers in the current climate who want to build it, for example, The Witcher, developing the game for PC, PS4 and Xbox One as is. If you cast your mind to 2017, there might be 5 different systems having to develop for. So PC, PS4, PS Neo, Xbox One, and presumably the NX.
Yeah.
Now that becomes quite expensive.
And if there's an NX, who knows whether that might also come into a new 3DS port as well.
Yeah, depending on whatever the NX is and can do.
So, do you think that this Neo is like a... I don't know, people, pardon my English, not a stab, but a grab at like anyone that's sitting there still trying to work out specs and stuff like that, and then something they're like, well, that's going to be a much better spec console.
Yeah, it could be
I'm shifting from my Xbox now to that, permanently going to be on my PS4.
That's a lot of money to spend, though.
Yeah.
How much trade-in value are you going to get for your Xbox One?
Well, this is true.
The talk is that the Neo, whatever it is, will supposedly retail at what the PS4 currently retails at. So the original base.
Does that mean there'll be
the base model
drop?
PS4 will get cheap. You couldn't possibly justify the original PS4 being the same cost as it currently is.
Well, then that's absolutely a stab, because...
Well, lucky I was going to buy a Sony.
It was going to be the PS4 is a stronger console than the Xbox One anyway.
Yeah.
So if they're now going to drop their price, the console that was a stronger one anyway will be cheaper than the current Xbox One.
My question is, do you think... And it's well known that I am in the Sony camp. I love my Xbox, but I do prefer my PlayStation consoles. And there's, 40 million PS4s out there at the moment. Do you think that that's going to aggravate existing PlayStation owners?
Absolutely.
Because there's going to be someone who bought their console today. You're more casual sort of consumer. Who's not as immersed in this, the business as we are.
If it comes
buys
out...
their PS4 today and then finds out, at E3 probably, that, hey, there's an upgraded version and I wasn't aware of this and I've been shafted. I'm
absolutely. If it's coming out October, November...
Because someone like me, I'm just going to go buy the Neo anyway.
If it's coming out October, November...
like in iOS or microtransactions, there are those whales, those consumers that just buy anything. Yes. In PlayStation, I'm one of those. And there's plenty of those people.
You have to think about what's going to be happening in October, November is you're going to have your Black Fridays and your big sales before Christmas. Now, if you've also then got family members who are purchasing like a PS4 as a gift, and they get the cheaper one because it's a gift,
Yeah.
you're then going to have like irate children who's like, no, it's not the Neo, I wanted the good one. It's like, where you have the cliche grandma who buys the like Spectrus. It's not really Tetris, it's the like dodgy knockoff from...
And they just don't know any different. Whatever, that's fine.
Random country. Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. Like, you've also got to weigh that in as well, where you've got people who are uninformed, and you're going to have like a lot of baseline PS4s returned or whatever. You have to wonder what sort of level of support they're going to have.
It could get ugly.
Yeah, because I mean, if they start building their firmware around people having the Neo, that's then going to mean that there will be a cutoff point where they stop supporting original PS4s, which means you're stabbing your loyal fan base.
That's not going to happen, but
you have to. Eventually, you're going to have to, like, to make your stuff work best. You have to optimize, and to optimize.
You're asking too much of the developers at the moment if you want them to do both as well.
But even with just the baseline software that the PS4 comes with, if you're going to optimize, you're obviously going like you can't optimize and have people with one version of your console with higher specs get a different firmware than people who don't.
Yeah,
you're just going to have to put that out, right? And so they're obviously going to make it want to work as best they can, which means they're just going to put it out for the Neo eventually. There will be a cutoff point. Yeah. It's the same with the 3DS. They have to. 3DS both function identically. They both have 3D. They're both whatever, but one is more powerful. And then we're now seeing games come out where
your Hyrule
Warriors, so on and so forth, where games will just they'll put it out. Sure, you can play it, but will you be getting the best experience? No. Will you be barely getting an experience at all? No.
Next question I have for the both of you. A bit of the talk around this has been because PlayStation VR is coming out in October this year.
Yeah.
A bit of the talk has been they need this to be able to
run it,
help run that.
That's probably true.
That VR better. It will still work on the base thing, but at the moment there's the processing box as a part of the package that you get with the VR. That the talk is if you have the Neo, you don't need that processing box, because the console can do it.
Yeah, sure.
Which means that you're not sharing things around. Like you can get more out of VR.
Again, we're going to hit the Nintendo button again on that one and go Amiibo support. Like the new 3DS has it built in. The old 3DS, you need to buy a thing. Of course, why you wouldn't build in redundancy straight away on a console. Like you'd go grouse.
Sure.
Yeah.
If this VR takes off and people have got the Neo, then we want it to go like slide along. Whereas you got the older model, sure you can still run it. May not run as well, or might be like you've got 3 hours before we're gonna just have to tell you to like take a break because of overheating and problems like that. I mean, I don't know, man. I haven't worked with the
stress.
stuff.
We don't really know that tech side of things.
I look at the Oculuses in the first year of PAX Australia. Like they all overheated and shit like that because they were just getting played so much.
And it was in Australia in December, summer.
Oh yeah. I mean, it wasn't even in a good area and stuff. And then we, hit PAX 2 years ago. Oculus ran all the time. It was running great and fine. But you were also only allowed like that 5-minute block on it before they sent you on. Like, who knows? Earlier again, we don't know what's going to go on with VR. But I mean, it is something, isn't it?
But I mean, that's another circumstance. I mean, you've got the circumstance where when the Xbox One was touted to come out, everyone was supposed to have a Kinect.
Yeah,
and so
they gave up on it,
and they gave up on it, and that's the thing. So now you've got a circumstance where you're basically forcing the developers to work with a platform they may not necessarily want to. So you have stuff like Dead Rising 3, where it's got a whole bunch of this Kinect stuff in it. That since there's now no need for a Kinect, and I didn't buy up front, so I bought it without a Kinect because it was cheaper. I don't have a Kinect, I can't use those features.
Yeah.
So then you're going to have a look at stuff like this, where you've got original PS4 owners who there will eventually be features that they can't use because they've got if
it gets that
less.
Point, and let's because I know you don't have a PS4, but let's say that the same situation was happening with the Xbox One. Would you just go out and buy that new machine straight out the gate?
Fuck no.
Would you be one of those people?
Absolutely not.
And I say one of those people because I am, for this PlayStation situation. If it happens, I'm one of those.
No, absolutely not. I mean, if Microsoft came out and said, cool, we're now going to do a whole bunch of games. We're now going to re-jump on the platform where if you have an Xbox One without a Kinect, you need to go out and buy a Kinect because we've got all this hot shit that's coming in that's going to be the best thing ever. No, I don't want that. And then you've got other people that is just like, no, well, I don't want this new PS4. I made this like 10-year investment of my brand new console of $600, $700, whatever it is, for the next like 8 to 10 years. I mean, you know, barring any hardware issues that will usually be covered by a warranty. So you have to understand that like there are people out there who probably traded in their last console and dozens of games just to buy the current console. It's how many years old? And it may already...
So it's 3.
3. Well, 3 late this year, isn't it? Mid to late this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
And it's already supposed... If you believe
it's like
out of date.
If they're calling it 4.5, it's half superseded.
Yeah. Do you feel like we're starting to enter this space in console gaming? Because Microsoft have had, like Phil Spencer's gone out and said, we are looking at upgradable consoles. It's a similar idea, but maybe you can pull parts out and replace. Do you think we're starting to enter this sort of PC space where they should be upgradable consoles? Do you feel like we're heading towards phones where it's almost every 18 months, 24 months, you replace your phone, that sort of thing?
Look,
I'm not saying we should go that way.
Consoles are not as throwaway as a phone.
Yeah.
Phone tech can be built for nothing, and it's sold to you for basically for most of the part free.
Well, yeah.
Like you get a plan.
You go on a plan and
so
you pay off.
Does that mean that we're going to be looking at, say, $50 a month Xbox Live to pay off my free console? No, that's not going to happen.
No, not a chance.
Exactly. So you have to ask yourself, okay, well, if they're going to do something like that, am I going to have to be buying parts, replacing parts for myself? I mean, there's already an aspect of like doing that with hard drives now, and even that seems like too much horseshit for me to dick around with. I don't know about you
or either of you, but I feel like most console gamers don't. They go to console, they go to PlayStation or Xbox and Nintendo because they don't want to get into that PC.
Absolutely.
Where they're pulling apart their machines and...
Yeah, I don't want to learn.
There's something to do, like the hard drive thing, fine.
Sure.
Especially the nature of the the Xbox 360 era, like there was a hard drive just on this, you just yank it out.
Yeah, of course, but that was proprietary.
But
this is where you can expand it out. You can you can do it.
You can be
like for the PS4, you can actually go in and you can take it out and put in a new one. But you can get basically like an external hard drive. You just plug that shit in. So you can do all that stuff now. But if you're then talking about doing that with your GPU or your CPU or whatever for the inside of your console, that's too technical for a console gamer.
Would you have any interest in doing that? Again, if you were that PS4 or Xbox One owner, any interest in yanking bits out and replacing them?
No, it's the difference that separates the PC from a... If you want to get into that stuff, you buy a PC.
Exactly.
And like...
So I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, we don't have to, like... Look, even this, like, alright, back to your earlier point. If I was right now, went out and bought a PS4, and this PS4.5 Neo thing came out October, would I be mad? No. Why? Because it's just like... It will run long enough for me to have gotten enough out of it that by the time it's ready to upgrade, the horizon of a PS5 would be there. But at the same point, like look at my DS. Like I'm still playing it. The new 3DS is there, but I just don't think there's a lot of developers out there that go like fucking all of this new shit, like fucking pile it on.
But you look like there's a big enough jump for them to really worry.
But you look at the 360. How long did so I got the 360 not too long after launch. You got it at launch.
No, I was a couple of years after.
A couple of years after?
Yeah, it was PS3.
Well, let's say PS3 at launch.
Yeah, I was PS3.
How long did your PS3 last for, barring the time that you had, or was that the 360 you had trouble with?
No, my PS3 died.
PS3 died.
My original
barring that
was compatible.
Barring,
God bless you.
May it rest in peace. Moving on. Barring that, how long did you have a PS3 for? How many years?
8,
well,
9? They came out 2006, 7, so it's 10 years this year, and I was playing PS3 just yesterday.
There you go. Now we're already 3 years in, less than 3 years.
Yeah, we're already looking.
And we're already looking at upgrading.
Yeah.
that's people made this investment looking at the last generation, saying, "I've had this console for the better part of 10 years."
Yeah, no,
this is an investment I can
absolutely
make.
agree. No, I completely agree.
It's ridiculous, and you're
I
going
think
to
they
get to
would
the
have been
point.
better waiting a few years, going, here's your PS5, and it's backwards compatible.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
And I think Sony is thinking backwards compatibility with this because they stuffed up royally with the PS3 with their kind of proprietary stuff that didn't work well with PC architecture. And now they've gone to that, so presumably they can do backwards compatibility in some way, shape or form, whether it's digitally distributed or whatever it is they choose to do.
My main issue with all this is that you are going to get to a point where you are basically just a worse version of what you're doing with the PC.
Yeah.
It like that. If you're starting to look at, okay, well, I can pull out this part and put in this new part, you're not going to be getting your top end hot shit PC cards or whatever, accelerators, any of that sort of stuff. You will just be getting what Microsoft or Sony gives to you.
Yeah.
And they're not going to buy the highest end because
it's too much.
It's too much out of their pocket. It's too much out of our pocket.
And it's hard.
People won't buy it. It won't sell.
Money.
It'll just sit on store shelves, and then retailers won't. They'll just take it off their shelves and they won't sell any. Yeah. So it's a loss for them. You won't be able to just go into a computer parts store and just buy the exact thing you want, or go online and buy the exact thing you want. So you will end up with that PC experience, but worse.
Yeah.
Like strictly worse.
Final thoughts as we wrap it up. Regardless of our opinions on the matter, do we think it'll be a success? Yeah. If it plays out exactly as the rumours and supposed reports suggest.
It'll sell consoles in the same way that the PS4 is selling consoles now. Probably less. Because if there is a price drop, people will just jump on the original PS4. So I think that it depends on how they market. If they market this thing as the thing to play your PS4 games and VR, versus just here's to play your PS4 things, fine. That'll probably sell to the VR audience, and that's it.
Damo?
Yeah, I reckon it'll just sell. Like, won't do any better, won't do any worse. It'll just be like, I don't know, just be the same. Like, I mean, if you kind of look back at it, there is more than one version of the PS2. Like, there's
slim version.
Yeah, no, I'm not even talking about that. Like, if you look at it, there was a PS2 Phoenix, this and this and this. There's all these slight little changes they make to it. It's kind of like before there was a firmware upgrade, you were, slightly getting better. It's like, now with less fan noise and things like that. Like, this could just be that, but on a different scale.
But this is like, it will process better.
Yeah.
Games will run better.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that's the thing. The thing that you're going to have to, or the thing I'm concerned about, is that it will alienate people. Because if they have a price drop with their PS4 and the Xbox just stands true and also takes a price cut, you have to think, well, okay, Microsoft is standing its ground with what it's going to run.
Well, about time they did that, given they stuffed that up at the start of the generation.
Well, there you go. But that's the thing. Like, if they stand their ground and they take a price drop with it, you're going to be sitting there with the Xbox, which is going to be cheaper. It may be classed as a worse console, but it's standing sort of toe to toe at the moment with the PS4. It's like it's its main rival.
We won't get into that.
Say that again.
No, we won't even touch on the upgrade or anything.
Go. I mean, my thoughts on that is
right. Yeah, final thoughts.
I feel like this is just like a luxury model. Like if you really want your eye-bleedingly good graphics and you want to upgrade, go for it.
Less load time, stuff like that.
Less load time. All the little perks that come from whatever those specs are. I mean, flops and other things they talk about, whatever that is.
I feel it's a little underhanded, personally.
I'm not super keen on the ethics side of things. I'd rather everyone be on the same level there, but I feel like it's just going to end up being like this luxury model, and I don't feel like the PS4 is going to, like, the main unit.
Fair enough.
It's not going to be.
That's a good way of putting it. It's like, because I am looking at buying a new console this year. If the NX gets announced, I might wait on that. But if I'm looking at this, it'll be like, do I buy the leather seats? Or do I just buy the
fabric?
And again, you've got that investment circumstance where it's like, okay, well, this was originally touted as a console for 10 years, but I'm already 3 years in, so is it worth buying the leather seats?
Well,
I don't know.
That would be my concern if I was in your shoes.
I think ultimately the difference is your perspective on it. If you're a current owner, so it's like my position, there's more chance that you're going to be up in arms about it if you haven't got the system yet.
But the concern that I would
it's
have,
completely up to you. You know what you're getting into at that point.
but you don't.
Most cases,
That's
I know
my
there's
point.
that grandma and
There-
whatnot that
no,
don't.
But my concern would already be, okay, we're only 3 years in and we're looking at an upgrade model already. How long is this, luxury leather seats model actually going to?
Yeah, it'll end up in.
What are you?
It'll-
Tetris, you mentioned the grandma, and I thought of the Tetris.
Anyway, so yeah, like how long is this luxury model going to be the luxury model before it's
Before it's
then
another
superseded again?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't seem like it's a strong investment. as it
We're
used to.
entering a
It's
strange
precarious.
An unknown zone.
It's not the worst thing. Like,
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing would be is like they just turn around and they're like, from this point on, all PS4 games will be made as 4.5.
Yeah.
So you are fucked.
Yeah, if you're a PS4 owner.
And that's
Look, I think the way also another
They
thing
may
to
have to
consider
go that
without- without going into kind of crazy specific details. Like Sony's always been known as kind of not necessarily being much of a trendsetter in most of the stuff they do, whether it's television, cameras,
Yeah.
whatever.
they're
They're trying something here. Like I know, like
that's
they're
fair.
going out on a limb. So
yeah, that worked real well for
they're-
Sega.
No, yeah, but
No, I know. I'm just having a dig.
So I still at the end of the day kind of say good luck to them if it works.
Oh, for sure.
If it works, great. They obviously
sure.
know the details. We're basing things on rumours, so it's going to be hard to gauge. And
Sure.
I presume we'll know by E3.
I just look.
Yeah.
My
so much has
issue.
been said so far. I don't feel like they can even wait until E3.
My issue is
Otherwise
just
they might
that-
start doing damage.
It's just well that's the thing. Like
They
at the
need
end of the
to just
day,
be upfront.
yeah, you're dividing. No matter what, this is a divisive
It is a divide.
thing. So basically, you're looking at some people who's like, cool, I get this cool new thing. Other people, it's just like, well, I got shafted because I got the old thing that's not as good anymore.
Yeah. There are our patch notes for this month. Tune back in next week and you'll see us in our patch updates where we talk about what we've been up to. And until then, we'll see you later.
I'll be there.